My name is Adam. I am 72. I live in a small village. I have many scars. I have many smiles. I have seen storms and sunshine. I have lost and won. I have loved and lost. My life is a book of memories. Each page is a story. I hold a secret in my heart, a secret that haunts me. It is a lost love. It is a broken promise. Many years ago, I loved a kind soul. Her name was Lily. I loved her with all my heart. She was my light. One day, she vanished. She left without a word. I searched for her in every corner. I called her name to the wind. I hoped to see her smile once more. My days grew long. My nights were cold. I kept her memory alive. I wrote letters in my mind. I walked by the river. I stood by the old oak tree. I waited for a sign. I hoped that fate would bring her back. But time was a thief. It stole my chance and my hope. One morning, I found a letter. It lay on my doorstep. The paper was old and worn. The handwriting was gentle. The letter was from Lily. I could hardly believe it. My heart raced with hope. I read the letter many times. The words were soft and clear. They spoke of love and a secret promise. They spoke of a meeting in a far-off land. They spoke of a hidden place where we could be together. The letter was a gift. The letter was a sign. I felt a spark of life. I felt hope in my heart. I decided to go on a travel. I would search for Lily. I would find the secret place. I would follow the clues in her letter. I packed my bag. I put on my old shoes. I wrapped myself in a worn coat. I left my small town. I left behind old memories. I left behind my fears. I stepped into the unknown. The road was long. The road was hard. The wind blew cold. The rain fell hard. I trod on muddy paths. I climbed steep hills. I rested under starry skies. I kept Lily's letter in my hand. It warmed my soul. Every step was a battle. Every step was a hope. I thought of Lily. I thought of her smile. I thought of the promise we made. In the first town I reached, I met a kind man. His name was Tom. Tom had a gentle face and a worn hat. He owned a small shop. I entered his shop and asked, "Do you know of a secret place?" Tom looked at me with kind heart. He said, "I know. There is a land far away, the land of hope and dreams." I thanked him. I bought a loaf of bread. I ate with gratitude. I asked him for more clues. Tom said, "Follow the river. Let the water guide you. It sings a song of truth." I left Tom's shop and found a river. The river flowed slow and deep. I sat by its bank. I listened to its song. The water whispered secrets. It told of a hidden village. It spoke of a path less traveled. I followed the river for many days. I slept under towering trees. I dreamed of Lily. I dreamed of our love. One morning, I reached an old bridge. The bridge creaked under my weight. I crossed it slowly. On the other side, I found a dark forest. The forest was full of mystery. Its trees whispered in the wind. I stepped into the forest. I clutched the letter tight. I felt suspense in the air. I was scared, but still, I was brave. The forest was a maze of shadows. I walked on narrow paths. I heard strange sounds. I saw shapes in the dark. I felt a chill in my bones. Still, I did not stop. I remembered Lily's words. I remembered our promise. I pressed on into the heart of the forest. Suddenly, I saw a soft light in the distance. I moved toward the light. I found a small, clear pond. I saw my face in its water. Behind me, I sensed a shadow. I turned quickly. I saw nothing. I felt a chill and hurried away. I continued along the hidden path. The forest grew darker. Night fell quickly. I had no shelter, so I sought a cave. I found a cave and stepped inside. It was cold and dark. I sat on a smooth stone. I thought of Lily. I thought of love. I opened her letter once more. I read her gentle words. They spoke of hope. They spoke of a reunion. A tear fell from my eye. I wiped it away and slept. In the morning, I left the cave. The forest woke with a soft light. I followed an old map I had found. I reached a steep hill. The hill was hard to climb. I took my time and held onto the rocks. I climbed until I reached the top. At the summit, I looked down at the dark woods. The sun broke through the trees. I felt warmth and hope. From the top of the hill, I saw a hidden valley. The valley lay between tall, rugged mountains. I knew in my heart this was the secret place. I looked at the map once more. It said, "The secret lies here." I descended the steep path. I walked down slowly until I reached the valley. The valley was quiet and still. In the valley, I found a small garden. The garden burst with roses and lilies. I breathed in the scent of the flowers. I followed a narrow, winding path. The path led me to a wooden door. The door was old and painted green. I knocked on the door. I waited with a trembling heart. The door creaked open slowly. I saw a kind, gentle face. The face was warm and bright. I asked, "Are you Lily?" The kind face smiled and shook his head. He said, "I am not Lily. I was her friend long ago." My heart sank. I said, "I have a letter from her. It calls me to find a secret place. I search for her love." The old man nodded slowly. He said, "Lily was a brave soul. She loved with all her heart. She left this letter as a promise. She wanted you to come here." I felt hope surge inside me. I asked, "Please, tell me more." The old man sat in silence. He took a deep breath and said, "Lily dreamed of a place where lost souls could find peace. She chose this valley as her haven. But the journey here is full of danger and wonder." I listened with care. I felt a mixture of fear and hope. I thanked him and took a worn map he gave me. I stepped out of the cottage with the map in my hand. I set off again toward the dark woods. The woods were thick and full of secrets. The trees towered above me. The air turned cool and damp. I looked at the map. I saw a path marked with silver leaves. I searched for the silver leaves. Soon I saw them glimmer in the dim light. I followed them. The silver leaves led me to a hidden valley. The valley was green and calm. A soft wind blew through it. I saw a sign that read, "Welcome to the Valley of Whispers." My heart beat fast. I stepped into the valley and looked around. I found a small cottage in a clearing. The cottage looked old and kind. I knocked on its door. Inside the cottage sat an old man with deep, wise eyes. I asked him, "Are you Lily?" The old man smiled softly and said, "I am not Lily, but I knew her well. I was her friend." I felt my heart heavy with longing. I said, "I have her letter. I search for her love. I must find her." The old man said, "I remember her promise. She wanted to meet you in a secret place beyond these woods." I felt a surge of hope and fear. I asked, "Where is that place?" He replied, "It lies beyond the dark woods. It is where the sun meets the sky. But the path is dangerous. Take this map. Let it guide you, and beware the shadows." I took the map and thanked him. I stepped outside with a new sense of purpose. I ventured into the dark woods. The trees were thick and twisted. I walked on a narrow, hidden trail. The forest was filled with strange sounds. I heard whispers that made my heart race. I saw shadows flicker between the trees. I clutched the letter and map close. I thought, I must find her. I must fulfill the promise. I walked on, one small step at a time. The woods grew darker and more eerie. I felt the suspense in every rustle of leaves. I saw a clearing up ahead. In the center of the clearing, a soft light shone. I moved toward the light and found a small pond. The pond was still and clear. I saw my reflection, and behind it, a shape. I turned quickly, but saw nothing. My heart pounded, yet I pressed on. I continued on the path. The forest seemed endless. Night fell like a heavy cloak. I had no shelter, so I sought a rocky ledge. I found a small cave. I crawled inside and sat on a cold stone. I opened Lily's letter again. I read her words that spoke of hope and love. I remembered her gentle voice. I felt a tear roll down my cheek. I closed my eyes and slept in the dark. Morning came with a pale light. I left the cave and resumed my journey. I followed the map through thorny bushes and over slippery rocks. I climbed a steep hill and looked out over a vast, hidden valley. The valley lay quiet and still. I knew this was the secret place. My heart swelled with hope as I walked down the hill into the valley. In the valley, I found a garden that overflowed with blooming flowers. The air smelled sweet and alive. I followed a narrow path that led me to an old wooden door. The door was painted green and looked welcoming. I knocked with a trembling hand. The door slowly creaked open, and I saw a young face. The young face was full of kindness and hope. I said, "I am Adam. I come from far away. I search for Lily." The young face smiled and said, "I am Tom. I am her son." I felt shock and wonder. My heart pounded with a mix of joy and sadness. I did not expect this twist. I asked, "Where is Lily?" Tom said, "She is here. She waits for you inside." I followed Tom into a small, bright room. In the center sat a gentle woman. Her eyes were soft and kind. I knew at once it was Lily. I sat beside her, and our eyes met. In that moment, my heart found its missing beat. I felt love, hope, and deep emotion. I said softly, "Lily, I have searched for you for so long." She smiled with tears in her eyes and whispered, "I waited for you, Adam. I kept our promise." We talked in simple words. Lily told me her story. She had left to protect her heart. She had hidden her love in letters and secret places. Life had made her choices hard. I listened with every beat of my heart. I learned of her struggles, her fears, and her hopes. I understood her pain. I saw the light in her eyes as she spoke of our past and our future. Our words were few, but they were deep. Tom, her son, sat quietly by our side. He looked at us with understanding eyes. He said, "You are like a father to me now." My heart ached with both joy and regret. I had lost so much in my long years. Yet here, in this secret valley, I found family. I found love again. I saw the beauty of hope rekindled. Days passed in the valley. We shared simple meals. We worked in the garden. We told stories by the fire. Every evening, as the sun set, we sat together and dreamed of a better future. Lily and I walked by the river and sat under the old oak tree. We spoke of the past and of dreams that never died. Our words were soft, and our silence was full of understanding. One crisp evening, Lily and I sat by a small fire. The stars shone above us. We talked of old memories and new hopes. Lily said, "I hid my love in secret letters because I was scared. I feared the darkness of our past." I said, "I never lost hope. I believed in our love through every trial." Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "I have missed you every day." I held her hand and promised, "I will never let you go again." Our home in the valley became a place of healing. The garden bloomed with vibrant flowers. The air was filled with laughter and the promise of new beginnings. Tom grew strong and happy. We learned that even in the hardest journeys, love can be found. One dark night, as the wind howled outside, I sat by the fire and read Lily's old letter once more. The words brought back the pain of loss and the hope of reunion. I felt the suspense of what the night might bring. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door. I rose with a racing heart and opened the door slowly. Standing in the cold night was a small, trembling child. The child's eyes were wide with fear. I knelt down and said, "Who are you?" The child said softly, "I am Sam. I am lost. I need help." I felt a surge of compassion. I took Sam by the hand and led him inside. Lily and Tom came to greet him. We gave him food and a warm blanket. In that moment, our little family grew even larger. Sam told us his story. He had wandered alone through dark paths and cold nights. He had no one to guide him. I held him close and said, "You are safe here now." Lily smiled and said, "Family is made of love, not of blood alone." Tom hugged Sam, and we all felt a bond that filled the valley with warmth. Sam's eyes began to shine with hope. In that instant, I knew that our journey had healed old wounds and made us whole again. As time passed, Sam grew into a kind and curious boy. He learned from us and shared in our laughter. Our home in the valley thrived. We planted new trees and built a garden of dreams. Every day I shared my story with those who came to listen. I told them, love is a journey. Every step, no matter how small, leads you closer to your heart. I told them, do not fear the dark, for in every shadow there is a light waiting to be found. One clear morning, I sat by the window and watched the sun rise. The golden light filled the valley with promise. I knew that the journey was not yet over. There were still mysteries to uncover and secrets to learn. I looked at Lily, whose smile shone with quiet strength. I looked at Tom, whose eyes held wisdom beyond his years. And I looked at Sam, who represented a new beginning. I felt ready for whatever the future might bring. Then one day, Tom ran into our home with a letter in his hand. His eyes sparkled with news. He said, "There is a new message from far away. It is from someone who loves you both." Lily's face turned pale. My heart pounded with a mix of hope and fear. I asked, "Who is it?" Tom said, "The letter speaks of an old promise. It calls us to meet at the ancient lighthouse by the rocky shore." I felt a thrill of suspense. I looked at Lily. Her eyes glistened with tears as she whispered, "I remember that day." The ancient lighthouse stood on a jagged, windswept shore. It was a place of mystery and memory. The letter had come from our past. It carried the voice of a time when our love was young and wild. I felt a duty to follow its call. I said, "We must go." Lily nodded. Tom and Sam helped us pack a small bag. We took a little boat and sailed across rough, wild seas. The wind was fierce. The waves crashed and roared. But we held on. Our hearts were full of hope and the promise of reunion. The sea journey was long and full of trials. We faced sudden storms and cold, dark nights. The boat rocked and creaked in the wild water, yet we sang songs of courage. We prayed for safe passage. In the heart of the storm, I held Lily's hand. I felt her warmth. I saw her eyes filled with determination. We fought the waves and braved the wind. Finally, at dawn, we reached a rocky shore. The sky turned soft pink. The sea calmed. We landed on the cold beach. There, we saw the old lighthouse. It was tall and proud. It had stood through many storms. I walked along the rocky shore. I felt the sand beneath my feet. I climbed the winding steps of the lighthouse. The air was cool and filled with salt. At the top, I met a man with gentle eyes and a kind smile. He said, "I have waited long. I am here for you." His voice was soft and steady. He handed me a small box. I opened the box slowly. Inside lay a simple ring that shone in the morning light. I knew that this ring was a symbol of a promise made long ago. Lily took the ring in her hand. With trembling joy, she said, "This was our gift, meant to bind our hearts forever." I looked at her with tears of relief and love. I said, "I never forgot you, Lily." The man smiled and said, "Love endures. Love always finds a way." We left the lighthouse with hearts full of new hope. We returned by boat to our valley, our little haven of dreams. Our journey had been long and full of trials, yet it had led us to a miracle. I held the ring close. I held Lily's hand tightly. I felt our hearts beat as one. We knew that our past was healed. We knew that our future was bright. The hidden treasure of love had been found. Back in our valley, life blossomed. Our garden grew with new flowers. Sam thrived as he learned and played. Tom helped us build a stronger home. I shared my story with the people who came to listen. I told them, "Love is a journey of many small steps. Each step is a victory. Every challenge brings you closer to your heart." I told them, "Do not fear the dark, for in the shadows, the light always waits to be found." My days became full of meaning. My nights were filled with gentle dreams. I learned that every loss can lead to a new start. I learned that every fall makes you rise stronger. I learned that the secret of life is to keep moving forward. I learned that hope can be reborn in the smallest heart. Now I stand on the edge of a new day. I look at the horizon with quiet wonder. I see the promise of tomorrow in every sunrise. I know that more secrets await. I know that more paths must be taken. But I am ready. I am brave. I am filled with love. Each step I take is a promise. Each step is a victory. I do not fear the unknown. I embrace it with open arms. I know that every moment is a chance to change. Every moment is a gift of hope. I live for the love that fills my heart. I live for the dreams that guide my soul. In quiet moments, I think of Lily. I think of lost letters and secret paths. I remember the kind eyes of the old man in the cottage. I remember Tom's gentle smile and Mia's guiding words. I remember the silver leaves that lit my way. All these memories make me who I am. They make my journey worth every step. My story is not over. The journey goes on. I will write new chapters. I will find new treasures. I will share my love with the world. I will cherish every moment of hope and wonder. I will let the past be a lesson and the future a promise. Now I rest in my valley. I rest under the soft glow of the stars. I listen to the gentle song of the river. I feel the cool breeze of the night. I close my eyes and smile. I know I have loved and been loved. I know my heart is full. And I know every ending is just a new beginning. My life is a tapestry of simple moments. Each day is a word in the poem of my journey. I am Adam. I am a traveler of hope. I have found love in the darkest places. I have met strangers who became family. I have seen the light shine in the midst of fear. And I have learned that love always finds a way. In this valley, I have discovered the magic of life. I have learned that even in the simplest words there is great power. I have learned that every heart has a story, and I have learned that every journey, no matter how hard, is filled with wonder. My story is my own. I share it with all who will listen. Now, as I walk the path of my new life, I carry the ring of promise. I carry the memories of a lost love found again. I carry the hope of a tomorrow that shines brighter than any past sorrow. I carry the strength of every step I have taken, and I carry the love that has grown from every tear and every smile. My name is Adam. I have lived many years. I have felt pain and joy. I have seen storms and calm. And now I live with a heart full of love and a soul filled with hope. My journey is not complete. The road still calls to me, and I answer with every step, with every breath, with every beat of my heart. I know that tomorrow will bring new challenges. I know that tomorrow will hold new secrets. I know that tomorrow I will rise again. I know that tomorrow I will love again. For life is a journey of endless hope. It is a story of simple words and deep meaning. Today, I stand proud. Today, I am alive. Today, I have found love. And today, I begin a new chapter. My journey of hope, my journey of love, my journey of life continues on. The road is long and winding, but with each step, I know I am home. I have learned that every loss can lead to new joy. I have learned that every fall makes one rise higher. I have learned that even in the darkest nights, a spark of hope can light the way. I have learned that the simplest words can heal the deepest wounds, and I have learned that love, true love, endures all. Now I pass on my tale to you. I share my journey so that you may find hope in your own life. Remember that every step, however small, is a victory. Remember that each day is a chance to be better. Do not fear the unknown. Embrace it. Cherish every moment. And always know that love finds a way. My journey continues. I will take new paths. I will face new trials. I will meet new souls. And I will always hold dear the love that brought me home. I am Adam. I am a traveler, a dreamer, and a lover of life. I am forever grateful for every moment. Now go and make your own journey of hope.